welcome to this explainer. Okay, so if you're an international professional living in Germany, or maybe you're packing your bags right now, this one is absolutely for you. Look, moving to a new country is incredibly tough. You put in the hours, right? You study the grammar, you finally decode the infamous German bureaucracy, you set up your entire life. But then, just when you think, okay, I've got this, bam, you hit these invisible cultural walls. Suddenly, everyday interactions feel really confusing, and nobody is pulling you aside to explain why. Well, consider me your experienced expat friend today. We're going to dive right in and finally decode those hidden social expectations.
Section 1. The Expat Disconnect. Let's get right into it.
So, picture this scenario. It plays out in offices across Germany literally every single day. You speak fluent German. You're doing your job perfectly. And yet, you walk out of a team meeting, or maybe you just finish a quick chat with your neighbor in the stairwell, and you're left with this awful knot in your stomach. I really want to validate a very specific, highly anxiety-inducing question that I know almost every expat asks themselves. Wait, did I just do something wrong?
Listen to me, I need you to know right now that this disconnect is absolutely not a personal failure. Not at all. It's really just a simple mismatch in unwritten behavioral expectations. Because, see, in a lot of cultures, doing your job brilliantly and speaking the local language, that's your immediate golden ticket to belonging. You're in. But in Germany, perfect competence alone doesn't just automatically grant you that immediate social inclusion. To truly feel like you belong, you have to understand the unwritten logic of the culture.
Which brings us to Section 2, the language of respect. You see, the German language itself actually acts as your very first layer of social etiquette. And it all really starts with the absolute non-negotiable necessity of maintaining formal distance. We're talking about using Sie rather than the informal Du. When you're starting out, you must use Herr or Frau plus a surname for pretty much everyone. We're talking your new colleagues, your boss, right down to the local baker down the street. This formal, respectful distance is standard operating procedure until you are explicitly invited to switch to first names. Trust me on this one, do not rush it. Earned closeness, getting to that Du stage, takes time.
Oh, and keep in mind, titles matter deeply here. If someone holds a doctorate, you don't just skip it. You address them as Herr Doctor or Frau Doctor, followed by their surname. Now, to an outsider, using academic and professional titles in everyday conversation might feel a bit cold or stiff, maybe even arrogant, but it's really not. It's actually just a very polite, standard acknowledgement of someone's hard-earned credentials.
All right, Section 3. Why time equals trust.
Okay, we need to completely shift how you look at the clock. You gotta stop saying punctuality as just a mere scheduling requirement. The fundamental philosophy you need to adopt is this. In Germany, time is trust. Period. Germans plan their days around very, very precise schedules. So, being even 5 minutes late, that's not just a minor, oops, sorry traffic slip-up. It actually disrupts carefully planned workflows. And more importantly, it sends a strong signal of disrespect for the other person's time. So let's break down the hard rules for different scenarios, because they do vary. For business meetings, you really should arrive about 5 to 10 minutes early. Now, if it's a dinner invite at someone's house, arrive exactly on the dot, never early. If you're early, your host might still be running around prepping. For casual gatherings with friends, being 5 to 15 minutes late is usually acceptable. But here's the golden rule. If a delay is genuinely unavoidable, like the train actually broke down, communicating that immediately by calling ahead is an absolute must. No surprises.
Moving on to Section 4, the sacred Feierabend.
This next concept builds right into the absolute cornerstone of German work-life balance. You need to embrace the Feierabend. I love this word. It literally translates to celebration evening, and it acts as a truly sacred boundary marking the clear end of your workday. Once the workday ends, it is over. Done. That means no after-hours emails, no just really quick work calls, and a complete, totally respected shift from your employee persona over to your personal time. It's how they protect mental health and prevent burnout. Think about it like this. In some cultures, maybe the one you came from, working late is kind of seen as a status symbol, right? It shows dedication. You're proving your productivity by putting in long desk hours. But in Germany, productivity is measured by focused output. Leaving on time at the end of the day isn't seen as a sign of laziness or a lack of commitment. Actually, it's a highly respected display of efficiency and excellent planning. Believe it or not, if you are working late regularly, it might actually signal to your boss that you're just disorganized. Section 5. Directness is not disrespect.
All right, let's talk about what is probably the single biggest culture shock of all: communication. In Germany, efficiency, honesty, and plain facts take absolute priority over any sort of diplomatic cushioning. We really need to completely reframe your perception of blunt feedback. When you hear a colleague plainly list out everything wrong with your latest presentation, they aren't attacking you. Seriously, what they actually mean is that they trust you enough and they respect you enough to be entirely transparent. They are just handing you actionable facts to help you succeed, without wrapping it all up in a bunch of unnecessary praise.
For instance, you will very likely hear phrases like, "Das kommt nicht in Frage." This translates to, "That's out of the question." Now, I know, to an expat ear, that sounds incredibly harsh, almost aggressive. But Germans use this to state their positions with total clarity. It avoids ambiguity, it saves everyone time, and it actually builds trust through transparency. It's considered way better than softly dancing around a refusal and leaving people confused.
So, how do you handle this? Here is a super simple, practical framework for surviving and, believe it or not, eventually loving this kind of direct communication. Step 1. Don't take it personally. You have to separate your emotions from professional critique. Step 2. Focus purely on the facts and the solutions that are being offered. And Step 3. Learn to appreciate the clarity. Honestly, once you adapt to this, you are going to love how incredibly efficient it makes your daily life.
Section 6. Unwritten Rules of Daily Life.
Let's step out of the office for a minute and head into your neighborhood. German daily life is governed by some pretty strict social contracts. For example, environmental consciousness here isn't just a nice to have, it's a heavy social obligation. You absolutely must master the recycling system. That means carefully, and I mean carefully, separating Bio for organic, Papier for paper, Verpackung for packaging, and Restmüll for whatever's left. Oh, and you can't forget the Pfand system, taking your bottles back to the store for a deposit refund. I'm warning you right now, failing to follow these non-negotiable waste separation rules will very quickly earn you a famously passive-aggressive note taped to the bins by a neighbor.
And hey, speaking of neighbors, 10 p.m. is a vital, non-negotiable boundary. This marks the official start of Ruhezeiten, which means quiet hours. This is typically from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. every night, plus literally all day on Sundays. During this time, activities like running your vacuum cleaner, mowing the lawn, or blasting loud music strictly forbidden. Sunday is treated as a true, literal rest day in Germany. Respect it, and I promise your neighbors will respect you.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to deliver some ultimate reassurance here. You don't have to become German. You don't have to erase or change your core personality. You really don't. You just need to understand the underlying logic behind these systems. Once you realize that punctuality means trust, that directness means respect, and that strict boundaries mean a healthy, balanced life, it all starts to click into place.
So, are you ready to master your integration in Germany? Apply these mindset shifts we've covered today and watch how things change for you. And hey, if you happen to be navigating the job market right now, make sure to check out our related explainers on German CVs and cover letters. They will really help you fully thrive in your new home. So, I'll leave you with this one thought to chew on. If trust is built on time and respect is built on truth, how will you approach your very next interaction in Germany? Thanks so much for exploring this with us.